Good afternoon. My name is Tyler Gordon. I'm from Macon, Georgia, and I'm a digital cinematography student at Full Sail University. Horror is a genre that aims to drive into negative emotions. It preys on our most primal fears, our hidden nightmares, and aims to repulse us with terror or a strong sense of evil. The horror genre can be said to begin with literature. The work of Edgar Allan Poe, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and Bram Stoker's Dracula are often credited as being inspirations for the beginnings of the genre. In 1895, George Méliès became quite popular for his use of special effects. In 1896, his film La Mano del Diable was released and aimed to be entertaining, but due to its supernatural subject matter, became known as the first horror film. After the success of La Mano del Diable, other countries such as Japan began experimenting with the concept of a scary motion picture. In 1906, Esmeralda was released. This French film, based on The Hunchback of Notre Dame by Victor Hugo, featured a character by the name of Quasimodo. His deformed and repulsing appearance stuck out, paving the way for the monster movie. However, it wasn't until the 1900s that horror became a mainstream recognized and respected genre. With the release of Robert Wine's The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, an important element was thrown into the mix: expressionism. The use of twisted imagery to tantalize the audience had never been done like this. Following this was the German film Nosferatu, the first vampire film. The genre began to expand and find its true form with this. Horror now had a bit of a face, a character if you will, and Universal Studios would take this concept and expand it. In the 1930s, Universal birthed the four main icons of horror. These entities would become so popularized that their themes and caricatures would carry on to modern-day stories in cinema. These were Count Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, and the Mummy. Bela Lugosi's portrayal of Dracula was such a commercial success, focusing on sexuality and macabre taboo, and had never entirely been explored before. Then Boris Karloff's work in Frankenstein, with its dark, gritty cinematography and the character of the mummy, led to what would become the zombie. Therefore, in 1932, zombies were born with the Halpern brothers' film White Zombie. However, zombies wouldn't actually become what we know today until 1968, when George A. Romero brought us Night of the Living Dead. Now, after the 30s and early 40s, we reached a stalemate for horror. With the coming and going of World War II, there was no time or interest in being afraid of monsters or the unthinkable because we were watching our own nightmares come to life off screen. In 1960, the master of suspense, Alfred Hitchcock, brought to life the first slasher film, Psycho. This film alone is responsible for developing the killer shtick. His use of twists, shots that force us to the edge of our seats, unable to look away, his iconic shower scene, musical score, and use of slow camera movements completely revolutionized the genre, spiraling it heavily into the mainstream pop culture. For the next few decades, slashers such as Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, and the like would be regarded as the poster children of horror. So in the 70s and 80s, the horror slasher genre targeted the youth of the generation, making characters relatable and throwing a simple killer at them, slaughtering with no remorse, showing graphic imagery that was sure to leave parents' jaws on the floor, and giving teens a gritty form of self-expression. The following is a list of films that made all of this possible. 1974, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, inspired by real events, which enticed audiences' curiosity, by Tobe Hooper. 1978, Halloween, which brought us the concept of a loved one hurting us, John Carpenter. 1980, Prom Night, our perfect high school memory turned terrifying, Paul Lynch. The Shining, a Stanley Kubrick masterpiece that used strong imagery to make us feel like we could never truly escape the demons of our own mind. Friday the 13th, even on vacation, we're still surrounded by evil, Sean S. Cunningham. 1984, A Nightmare on Elm Street, our children aren't safe, we can't escape our past, and our nightmares are now reality, Wes Craven. You can see that these simple plots actually had very relatable themes that every person has to face in life. In the late 90s and early 2000s, as technology and the internet grew popular, so did the use of special effects and advanced camera work. It was those advances that evolved the genre from psychological horror to visual horror. One of the most notable examples of this was the controversial film series by Lionsgate Entertainment and Twisted Pictures known as Saw. This franchise showed us bloody, graphic physical violence, gore, and torture. Suddenly everyone was talking about gore movies, and nobody was able to turn their eyes away from the good, the bad, and the bloody disgusting. Also worth noting during this time period is the found footage genre. This practice involved a character in the film holding the camera, and the lens became its own entity. The Blair Witch Project in 1999, with its creative marketing strategies, served to push this practice to the general public. That being said, it wasn't actually until 2008 when Matt Reeves brought us Cloverfield, a found footage sci-fi alien monster film taking place in New York City, allowed the subgenre its expansion. It gave viewers a familiar and easily recognized setting and played with a very realistic fear for an invasion. The human mind craves fear. The rush in our blood, the speed of our heartbeat, these experiences remind us what it means to be alive. Due to this, the genre will never fade away. The demons will keep possessing us, the ghosts will keep watching over our shoulders, and the call will always be coming from inside the house.